Good morning, all. How's the bunch? All good there on the other side of the video camera? Hope you guys are doing wonderful today. It's been a good week, and I hope it's been a good week for you guys as well. There's been a lot of things that have popped up that I'd like to talk about today, and hopefully you guys are into it and ready for another hour or so of I'm going to call it gear therapy. That's what I'm calling it now. Welcome to the Sunday Show, everyone. I'm Tony. In case you're new, this is our live Sunday show, which goes live every Sunday, 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. And obviously, if you're here, you're probably addicted to gear like I am. And this is our weekly support group. So welcome, everybody. Now, if you're new, obviously, you got to subscribe to be able to chat on the live show. Takes a minute. You just have to hit the subscribe button, and within a minute you're able to chat. And obviously we want to have as many people chatting on the show as possible so the show stays interesting for everybody. So how's everybody doing today? Everybody had a good week? I hope there were no incidences this week and everybody had a smooth week full of music gear, guitars, pedals, amps, and other stuff. I had a pretty good week this week. Went to a Journey show. This was Friday. It happened to be postponed. The initial show was scheduled for Wednesday. Unfortunately, we had we were expecting an ice storm. So the weather wasn't very good. It was raining. It was icy. And the way they were talking about it, it seemed like it was going to be the end of the world. But it didn't happen to be that bad. But they took precautions and they ended up canceling the show on Wednesday, which was a bit of a bummer. But the good thing is that they pushed it to Friday, which was actually better because, going to watch a concert on Friday, to me, is always better. You're getting ready for the weekend. You can stay out a little bit longer and do something fun after the show. But we ended up getting snow that day. It actually snowed quite a bit when we came out of the stadium. I was surprised to see snow because it was rather mild before that. So anyway, great show. I posted a couple of clips for that show. Let me just close my... Yeah, just close that so I'm not strumming strings. I'm playing this today, guys, just so we're going to be talking about David Gilmour's Black Strat and the fact that it was sold again and it broke records. So to celebrate that, I figured I might as well pull out the Black Strat. We'll talk about that. So yeah, getting back to the Journey show. Any Journey fans here, by the way? It was supposed to be their last hurrah. So they're talking about it like it's going to be the last one, but you know how it is, guys, with music. You never know if it's really going to be the last one. I think Kiss said that about 4 times. I think Aerosmith said that about 3 times. So we never really know. So, but the show was really good. I enjoyed it. My first Journey concert. I'm not a huge Journey fan. Like, I'm not the biggest Journey fan. My wife is, she convinced me to go to it. So I said, yeah, sure, let's go. Let's take a look. Haven't been. It might be the last opportunity. And yeah, they were pretty solid, I gotta say. The set list was pretty good. They played a lot of classics, obviously. And Neil Sean played wonderfully well. I was eyeing his pedalboard and his guitars throughout the night. He was playing a variety of different customized Gibson guitars as well as a bunch of PRS guitars. I think he played PRS guitars more than his Gibsons throughout the night. And they were all modified. They all had a sustain system in there. I could see the switches that he had because, he plays with a lot of sustain. His guitar almost sounds like a violin at times, or a synthesizer. It's so boosted to be able to get sustain throughout the night. But yeah, it was good. I liked it. Obviously, my favorite Journey song is Lights. That's my favorite. So when they played that, I was happy. And they played that, I think it was the sixth song that they played. Of course, everybody went bananas when they played Don't Stop Believing. And that was the last one. They played about 27 songs, I think, that evening, 20, 26, 27 songs. Was pretty good. I liked the jam that they did on Walks Like a Lady. That one was cool because the drummer was singing that song, and he did an amazing job on vocals. I didn't even know he was that good of a singer. He could have probably sang the whole night. So that was really cool. And Wheels was also great. I love that. Nice intro, a couple of little solos and stuff like that. So a great overall show. I was happy. I felt I got my money's worth. And I think everybody left happy that night. So all good. So how's everybody doing today? Let's say hi to the boys here. Jack is here. Cushman is here. And Cushman was saying that he thought I was going to be playing an SG today. Nope, no SG today, guys. MFN is here. Good morning, Mean Gene. Who else is here? Let's see. Profile Productions. Profile says Tony will be playing a Telecaster. Nope, no Telecaster today. Paul's here as well. He says, do we get the Telecaster again? Nope, no Telecaster. Human Jones morning, making some ham, eggs, and cheese for my dog Rocky. Hey man, you're going to give your dog cholesterol. Be careful. Hopefully Rocky is going to be enjoying that breakfast. Probably already did. Probably wolfed it down, right? So Wayne says, hi boys, Black Strat it is. Yeah, it sure is. And let's see. So everybody seems to be in good shape. Jean-Pierre says, 2 days without power for me, a real nightmare. Really? Oh man, you got affected by that. They announced certain people had lost power during that little ice storm. It's amazing to me how the stupidest little thing causes outages. I mean, if a bird lands on the electrical wire around here, we get blackouts. It makes no sense, but it just goes to show how crappy our infrastructure is right now. I mean, lately, and I'm not going to start ranting, but lately, man, the roads here have been terrible. I've seen better roads in Beirut after a bombing, to be honest with you. And the city doesn't seem to be doing anything about it. I mean, it's getting to the point where it's dangerous. So I don't know where all our tax money goes because we pay a shit ton of taxes here. But obviously, it's not going to the right places. So it is what it is, man. I think we're all kind of pissed off, but we feel like there's nothing we can do about it. Anyways, David says, Tony, did Tony buy a Gilmore Strat? This is not an off-the-shelf Strat, guys. This is not a Gilmore, one of those reproduction custom shop jobbers. This is a guitar that I bought a long time ago. It actually was originally like a tuxedo Strat, kind of like the one that Eric Clapton plays. Had a white pickguard, and that's how it came stock. That's why the hardware is white here. And I'm pretty sure David Gilmour's Strat was the same originally. He had probably had a white pickguard on it, and he eventually changed it over to the black and white. And so I did the same. I got tired of the white and black pickguard, so I changed it to the black, which looks really cool and basically turns it into a Gilmour Strat, The only other thing I customized on this, well, I wouldn't say customized. I had two of these originally, two different ones. They were identical. However, the neck on one felt better to me than the neck on the other one. So I simply just swapped necks on the guitars. I took the neck out of the other one, put it on this one, and then I sold the other one. So I felt this is a really nice, it plays really nicely, and I love this guitar. And if ever I get tired of the Gilmour look, I could simply go back to the Eric Clapton look just by putting the original pick guard back on. So it's a very versatile guitar, and I love it. And I don't play it enough, and I don't know why, but one of my favorites. Just to give you a little Gilmour-inspired tone out of the guitar. It's really nice. I guess we might as well segue into the big news, because that's making headlines the last couple of days if you're a guitar geek like I am. Basically, the fact that David Gilmour's Black Strat was sold again. So if you guys don't know the history on that, and maybe you don't know what happened, I'll explain to you. Basically, the original Black Gilmour Strat went up for sale a while ago, and the Colts. Did we just lose? Hold on a second. Something just. Oh, I lost a little bit of volume there. Can you guys hear me okay? Seem to have dropped some volume there. I don't know if my microphone just had a little moment, but hopefully you guys can hear me. All good with the volume, guys? Okay. So during the last auction of the Black Strat, the Gilmour Black Strat, the Colts, Indianapolis Colts owner bought the original David Gilmour Strat, and it broke records at the time. I think it became one of the most expensive guitars ever sold back then. Well, now it went up for auction again. Apparently, from what I understand, the Colts owner is getting rid of a lot of guitars that he actually acquired. People claim that his collection is worth more than $1 billion right now. So I guess he's buying it as a investment. A lot of these bigwigs that have a lot of money, they end up buying these, artwork, guitars, all these collectible items, old vintage cars, stuff like that, as an investment. And I think his investment paid off, because how long has it been since they actually, I think it was 2009? 2009, the guitar sold for 3.9 million, which was tremendous money back then. Right now, they resold it 14.5 million. So people are mentioning that he died. Yes, in fact, he did die. Obviously, this money is going to be going to the estate. Obviously, it's going to be going to his family. Is that part of the reason why he bought them in the first place? I don't think so. I think he was just a really passionate guitar collector, and he had a lot of really good, really cool guitars amongst his collection. So the Black Strat sold for 14.5 million. That's crazy. Think about it. So in a matter of years, it went from 3 to 14. That's a pretty good investment, I'm gonna say. But among his collection, he also has a few other guitars. He has the Jerry Garcia Tiger guitar, which sold for 11 million. That's a pretty nifty follow-up guitar in terms of like getting pretty close to the price of the David Gilmour Black Strat. I never really considered that guitar as a highly collectible guitar, but I guess it is. Of course, there's the famous Kurt Cobain Smells Like Teen Spirit Mustang, which sold for 6.9 million. And then I guess in last place, there might be more actually. I'm sure there's more, but I mean the most notable ones. Eric Clapton's MTV Unplugged Martin, the 00042, sold for 4 million. So that's a pretty hefty chunk of change right there. So it's a good argument. I use that argument with my wife. I said, you see, it's an investment. Think about it. The value of these guitars are going to continue going up. I wish that was true for my guitar collection, but it's not exactly the same thing. It's a little different. But you're right, David. I thought the Mustang would go for more as well, but I guess it's not necessarily that collectible. I think the acoustic guitar that they sold, Kurt Cobain's acoustic guitar, was a little bit more, I think, a little bit more eye-catching for collectors. I think because the Teen Spirit guitar, I think it was only used for the video. So it wasn't like a mainstay guitar. It was very recognizable, but I don't think it was like a mainstay everyday guitar that he used. So I guess his family are gonna be, pretty well off. I'm pretty sure they were already well off, but I mean, a little extra pocket change never hurt anybody, I guess, right? So what do you guys think about that? Do you think it's excessive? Do you think it's not right for somebody to, buy a guitar like I don't know who actually bought the guitar now and paid 14 million for it. I'm curious to find out who that is. I don't think they mentioned it. If anybody knows, let me know. If it's one of my neighbors or something, I'm gonna maybe pop in and take a look. Anyway, I don't know if it's gonna be a collectible piece in some kind of museum, or if it's gonna be just a private collector and we're never gonna see it again. Or if maybe in maybe another 5 years or so, we're gonna see it up for auction again. Maybe it'll sell for 20 million. I don't know. We'll see. It's nice to be able to have that kind of chump change, to be able to drop 14 million on a guitar. So I guess my wife can't be mad at me, right? Comparatively speaking, I'm getting good deals. John says people think the black Strat did more than it did. The body is the only piece of it that was always there. Next, hardware and electronics came and went throughout the years. Yeah, it was basically his version of a Frankenstrat. There's a lot of things that were changed on that guitar. If you look at photos of it, you'll notice that there's various holes that were filled in. The back of the bridge was filled in. I think at one point it may have had like a Kahler system on it. I know the pickups were changed, many times. The neck probably as well. But that's what professional musicians do. They eventually take their guitars, and it's a tool for them, and eventually they modify them to get them to do what they want, sound like what they want. So I think David Gilmour was no different in that regards. So my guitar is in relatively good condition. There's no nicks yet. There's no holes. It's pristine, and I want to keep it that way. 39 Green Strat said, 93, I think I'm getting dyslexic. 93 Green Strat said, you are free to do what you will with your money, but that's ridiculous. Well, I mean, if you look at it as an investment, I mean, look, he paid 3 million and they sold for 14. So if you've got the money, I don't think it's ridiculous. Think about it. If you put $13 million in the bank, are you going to get if you put 3 million in the bank, are you going to get 14 million out of it in such short time? I don't think so. So, and I'm sure these guys find loopholes to make them a tax write-off in some way. They buy it, they probably donate it, or lend it out to some museum or something like that, and find a way to make it a tax write-off or something like that. I'm sure there's a way. I haven't figured it out yet, but there's a way. So someone's saying that Derek Trucks bought Garcia's Tiger. Really? Well, that's good. If that's true, I'm happy about that, because I really do like the fact that if a musician has a guitar, like David Gilmour has a guitar that he's loved for so many years, and it gets sold, it's heartbreaking to find out that it's going to a museum or in some bigwig's safe somewhere, uh, just to never see the light of day. If it's in the hands of another musician, I'm okay with that. Steven says, I'm late, so Tony was the with the 12,000 for David's guitar. Uh, Sorry, Steven, I don't know what you're asking me. We were talking, it was $14,500,000 for the person that purchased David Gilmour's Black Strat. That's what we're talking about here. We're just talking about guitars and how we're wondering who bought the actual Black Strat. All right. Hey, Rob, good morning. Rob says he's been oversleeping Sundays and missing Tony. Enjoyed the new X Looper demo. Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, I put out a video yesterday night. I don't usually drop new videos in the evenings on weekends. So I actually published it late last night, which is not necessarily a good thing because a lot of people are sleeping at that time. So, but I said, what the hell? I did a review on this guy. I put the link in the chat at the beginning. This is the NuX dual loop stereo pedal. And if you guys are interested in getting a looper, this is definitely one you should take a look at. It does things that other loopers don't do, and that's a big. I know that's a big claim, but it really does, and they did a great job with it. It seems really well built. It seems solid, and it has a lot of flexibility in terms of control over the different sounds. Basically, in a nutshell, guys, if you want to watch the full video review, you can, but in a nutshell, it has two independent looper engines. So basically, it's like getting a dual looper in one. Okay, and basically you can loop two different loops at the same time. So you can record a nice, let's say, melody, and maybe you want to go to the bridge, you can change it up. A lot of looper pedals will allow you to record one loop and play it over and over again, which gets kind of boring, kind of dry really quickly. This one is a little different because you can switch it up. So you can play your first loop and then switch over to your second loop and switch back and forth. And the cool thing about it is that you can actually also change the drum pattern on the independent loops. So basically, it's not always the same rhythm. So you can actually, the loops are designed in such a way, they have a really cool matrix so that the loops are similar, but they change in dynamics and they change in the variables, so they can make it a little bit more syncopated, make it a little bit more of a complex pattern. It still sounds the same. In other words, you still have a block of grooves that will fit with each other, but you can make it more interesting. You could bring the level down. You can make it more dynamic, more punchy, and so your loops sound more interesting. And I demoed that a little bit just by putting a little loop together and showing you how that works. But it's a really well thought out little unit. So check that out if you have a minute, and if you're interested in perhaps expanding to a looper pedal. What I like about this looper pedal is it's a great practice tool as well. All right, so let's see what other comments you have here. If you have comments for me, guys, please put a question mark ahead of your question so I can spot it. All right. Somebody's asking who was the auction house. I'm not quite sure. For stuff that expensive, it's usually Sotheby's, but I'm not. I think it's Christie's. Sorry, this one was Christie's. Why do you ask? What difference does that make? They're out of New York, so that's where the auction took place. That doesn't necessarily mean the person that bought the merchandise was an American. We don't know who it was. Human Jones says Gilmore's Black Strat was on display at the Hard Rock Cafe in Dallas for over a decade in the 80s and 90s. I don't know, was that the original? Because oftentimes there are different types of guitar shows, different types of. There was one that came to Montreal where they did have a guitar there. It looked like the original, but I wouldn't think it was. I would think it would be maybe one of the custom shop repros. I don't know how many, if they would actually give that away when it's worth that much to something like the Hard Rock Cafe. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there was some kind of connection there. I'm not sure. But I have a feeling that a lot of times they're the fake ones going around. Hey guys, if you don't mind, thumbs up would be appreciated. If you can hit that button, if the phone's not too far away, or your computer or laptop or iPad or whatever you're using to watch today's show, I would appreciate that. Jean-Pierre says, do you think a Harley Benton guitar would eventually sell for that kind of money one day? It's not about the guitar. It's about who used the guitar. You know what I mean, JP? It's not the guitar at all. It could be a strap. It could be a pick. It could be anything. It really is the fact that there's history behind that guitar. And that's what you're really buying. You're buying the history of the guitar. It's not the actual guitar, because a guitar is a guitar, right? I mean, this guitar is never going to sell for 14 million, no matter what I do to it, But if I give this to David Gilmour and he plays it for a while, it might not sell for 14 million, but it'll sell for a heck of a lot more than I can sell it for right now. That's for sure. So it's the perceived value of the artist using the instrument. That's what it is. And as I mentioned, I'm saving my pennies for Jimmy Page's guitar when it goes on sale. So I'm gonna start a Jimmy Page guitar fund, so that when he actually sells his #1 Gibson Les Paul for, I don't know how much that guitar is gonna sell for, but I have a feeling it's gonna break records. Maybe I can make a bid for like the E string or something. I don't know. Steven says, I was watching Christie's when it sold. The bid was 12,100,000. The rest was fees and taxes. I was just joking because I saw your Black Beauty when I turned it on. Yeah, that's what it is. I don't know. I mean, think about it. 12 million, and you tack on another 2.5 million there for fees. Wow, that's crazy. I'm in the wrong business. I should be in the auction business. Shane says Page's double neck will sell for more if he ever sells it. Maybe. I think it is more iconic, although he played it less. I still would probably, if I had a choice, I mean, obviously I'd love to have either one of those. But if I had a choice, I think I would still go for the Les Paul, because it's more playable. And if I had that kind of change and I would buy that guitar, I would definitely play it. That's just me. A lot of people would say, you're crazy. You would never play it. What's the point of having a beautiful guitar like that and not playing it? But I would make a rule. The rule would be you could only play Led Zeppelin songs on it, so that your fingers, go in the same places that Jimmy Page's fingers went when he played that song. Or at least the approximate location. Depends on how good of a player you are. John says, I told my friend his 74 Strat, or is that told or sold? Anyways, I told my friend his 74 Strat. Let me just put this on the screen so you can read it at the same time. I told my friend his 74 Strat that he gave his son is as iconic to me as a black Strat. I watched him play it for so many years. He played it recently after many years, and it brought back memories to me. Yeah, it's nice to have those kind of memories with gear, you know, especially if, say, a guitar was played by your dad or your uncle, your grandfather, or something like that, and it happens to be handed down from generation to generation. That's cool. Like that would be an instrument that I wouldn't be able to sell. You know what I mean? It would have sentimental value. I'd keep a guitar like that. But other people don't necessarily get attached to their stuff. Look at David Gilmour. I mean, he played that guitar for so many years, and eventually he's like, I don't need this anymore. Dan Steely says, oh my God, how much would that 1275 get? I don't know. Who knows, man? A lot of people have dough out there. Steven says, the loop sounded great yesterday. I'm going to have to start playing around with looping. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. A very cool creative tool. So, you know, even if you just have a small looper that just does a basic loop, it's a lot of fun. You guys should definitely try it out. It's worth the investment. You know, those small little looper pedals probably cost about $100, used maybe even less. Get one, man. I'm telling you, it's a lot of fun. It'll open up a lot of creative ideas. And it also helps you with the timing, because you know how bad you suck when you can't loop or you can't play in sync with a loop. It's not easy. For the video, I wanted to put it on the floor and use my foot because it would be more accurate. Obviously, that's the way it's meant to be. But because I had to set up a camera and I had to try and get it so that it was close so I can, you know, play around with the knobs and stuff, I had to do all the looping with my fingers while I was playing. So that's not ideal. Managed to get it pretty close. I'm not going to say it was bang on, but close enough. David says, I noticed 3 levels at the auction: autographed guitars, guitars owned by someone, and then the guitar played all the time. Yeah, you know, people do like signatures on gear as well. And if you ever notice, Jimmy Page doesn't sign stuff an awful lot. Actually, he's a smart cookie, Jimmy Page, man. Even his book, when he had his book signing, instead of signing the book, he had a stamp. He had an ink stamp. So he would just ink stamp the book. Now I thought, like, man, if I was there, I'd be a little bit pissed off. If you're waiting in line to meet Jimmy Page and you actually end up, you know, going there, waiting in line, paying whatever you need to pay, buying the book, hoping you're going to get a signature autographed book, like that would be great. And he just stamps it. And he does that on purpose because he knows that if he signs it, it's going to end up somewhere being sold for a lot of money. It's going to end up on eBay or something like that. But anyways, it just brings more value to his signature, I guess. All right, so what else are we talking about, guys? That's enough about auctions. Let's see. Paul says, Tony, an American dentist bought the Strat. You know what's funny? You mentioned that. It's funny because, funny and not funny. I was talking with a friend of mine who actually had a recent conversation with a lawyer. And he had a Teams meeting with the lawyer. And he said, man, he goes, this guy was amazing. He's like, I looked in the back while he was, you know, talking to me on Teams, and his room was full of guitars. So I'm like, yeah, I know the type. You know, doctors and lawyers and dentists that can afford really expensive guitars. Hey, man, if you're working for your hard-earned cash, you know, what's wrong with that? It's okay. So John confirms that the actual guitar was displayed at Dallas Hard Rock. Okay, I believe you. I believe you, John. Could be. I wouldn't be able to argue that. Shane says Fender is re-releasing a B-Bender Telecaster model. You game for that? I've never used a B-Bender. Do you guys know what B-Benders are? It's a really Jimmy Page used that quite a while, actually, quite a lot actually. It's basically what they do is they take a Telecaster, they route out the back of it, and they put in a mechanism that actually attaches to your strap here. So when you're having the guitar on your body and you're having it on the strap, by pulling down on the guitar, it actually pulls a lever which goes down the back of the guitar to the bridge, to the B string. And it basically bends the B string kind of like you would do with a tremolo. And because Telecasters don't have tremolos, it's a cool way to get an effect. But I'm not, I don't see a use for that for what I do anyways. Plus nowadays you can get a Telecaster in any flavor. You know, if you want to have something with a bridge that has a tremolo, you can surely get one nowadays. So I don't really see the use. It's interesting, but probably not for me. Why are you asking, Shane? Is that something you'd be interested in, or? Human Jones says, yeah, I really like the new X Looper. Wishing I hadn't watched that review. Sorry, guys. That's what Addicted to Gear does. It's going to be tempting at times. You got to be strong. Wayne says, Tony, it's great to see you're doubling up your guitar rows behind you. Yeah, man, I have no choice. I either gotta get another rack, or I gotta double them up. Not the best thing to do, to be honest. The racks are just made for 5 guitars each, and I think I have like 7 on each or something like that. I'm running out of room, man. Or I just gotta start selling stuff. So that would probably be the better option. Rob says, Tony, stuck on a desert island. Looper pedal choice. The Moore GL200 or the NuX dual loop stereo pedal. I mean, honestly, I think you can probably do more with the NuX pedal. They're both cool. Definitely both cool. But I do feel like with actual physical knobs and outputs that you have on this guy, you probably have more flexibility, because you have independent volumes for both drums on track A and B, volume for the actual track, right? So you can adjust that. You also can plug in a microphone in here, so you can actually sing with your loop, and you have a volume for that. You have a master volume. You have built-in effects as well. So you can put reverb on the voice if you want, or on the drums, for example, if you need to. You have a boost in there as well. You have a couple of really cool functionality built into it. I like the fact that it has auto record function, so you don't have to hit the record button with your foot, as accurately. It's got the control switch, and you can also plug in an external switch to go up and down your patches. Plus, the amount of recording time on this thing is crazy. So you're not going to run out of room. The only gotcha I think with this one, well, the Moore is also a little bit large. It's the size. It's how much space you want to dedicate on your pedal board if you want to get a looper like this. But the thing is, I mean, if you have space on your board, or if you're perhaps not even putting on your board, I would probably go with this one. It just seems to be a better thought out unit, in my opinion, Rob. And David's adding also the Valaton VLP 200. Orion Quest wants to know what pickups are in this Strat. If my memory serves me, these are probably, I think, and it's been don't quote me on this because I'm getting a little fuzzy in terms of which guitars have which pickups, but I think these are the City Limit pickups from Tone Rider, which I love. They have a really nice sound, really nice bite to them. And they're not that expensive. There was a period I was putting them in all of my Strats because they were that good. So Shane said Keith Richards would ask the name of the guy sitting next to him in first class, and when people gave him guitars to sign, he'd sign the name instead of his own. Ah, Keith, what a joker. Yeah, Jimmy Page used the B-Bender on 10 Years Gone. Why just the B string? I don't know why just the B string. I'm not sure. I guess the B string is the one that people bend most of the time when you're playing, and they figure, well, that's the most likely string that you're going to bend on, so maybe that's the reason. Eddie says, my sister-in-law works for a lawyer and he has 8 PRS cores, Les Pauls, Martins, and Taylors, and can't play a note. Well, one of my doctors is the same. He's got a bunch of very rare Martin guitars in his collection. He's got a few vintage Fender guitars in his collection. Every time I go to see him, we talk maybe 10 minutes about my health and the rest of the time about guitars. We're like swapping photos. Like, look at this one. This is what I got. This is what I got. You know, comparing notes. He's the only doctor I look forward to seeing, to be honest with you. Searching for Tone says, always could get a second house instead of another rack. Well, if I keep this up, my wife will divorce me, and I'll definitely have to get a second house. Jean-Pierre says, why would Gilmour sell his guitar? Just for the money? And did all the money go to him or go to his pocket? Most of the time, I think a lot of musicians eventually just sell off their guitars because they have too many. I don't think he did it for the money. I mean, he may have gotten some of the money, but I think the money that he received from the auction of that guitar went to charity, if I remember correctly. So I don't think the goal was to make money. At least not the first time around. Yeah, a lot of people are answering that question. So yeah, most of it went to charity. So the Human Jones says, apparently Gilmour's Strat wasn't secured at the Hard Rock, and people could just walk up and touch it. When Gilmour's people asked for it back, they said it wasn't a loan. You gave it to us. I don't know what happened. I mean, I don't have all the details of all that, so I'm not really sure. I can't comment on that. Wayne says, I'm pretty sure David's kind gesture to help climate change did absolutely nothing, not with the clean, beautiful coal being burned. Dan is counting. He says, I'm counting 16 on Tony's screen. You're counting 16? Yeah. I don't know. How many? Should we do a count? Shane's counting 18. Should we see who the winner is? I don't know how many there are. I would have to do a count myself. Let me do a count, guys. So in the background, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and there's another one here, 24. You can't see it. And that's just the ones on camera. Then there's another 3 on my wall. 24, 25, 26, 27. So there's actually 27 in my room right now. Sorry, 28. There's another one in the case behind that amplifier that you can't see right now. I forgot about that one. Yeah, so there's 28. That's the actual number. All right, so beyond David Gilmour's Strat, we also this week learned something very interesting. This is something that might actually change things for some people, at least, because a lot of people don't know this, but Fender won a legal battle recently. And this is interesting to me because till now, legally speaking, the only thing that was sort of protected by law was the headstock shape of a guitar. So you couldn't use the same headstock shape by law. You can get sued and you can, bad things can happen to you. But as far as the body shape, there wasn't real tight laws regarding body shapes. And we know this because how many times have we seen this body shape on other guitars? I mean, every company and their uncle has, at one time or another, made a guitar this shape. So recently in Germany, there was a legal battle over the Strat shape. And they actually made a ruling that says that from now on, in Germany and the EU, you're not going to be able to use the same guitar shape. So this is huge, because if you're a guitar manufacturer in Germany or the UK, and that probably would affect companies. I'm not really sure what the fine print of this law is. Like if you're bringing guitars in from overseas and reselling them, does that mean you can still keep on buying guitars with this shape and selling them? Or does it mean you can't make or buy and sell or distribute guitars of this shape? Because if that's the case, and I'm not sure it is, I would have to read the fine print. Then that would mean like companies like Harley Benton, for example, which is in the UK, I think, they wouldn't be able to sell Strat shaped guitars anymore. So if you're living in Germany, that's and you're a fan of this Strat shape, that means the only company that you can buy this shape from would be Fender, which to me, I mean, it makes total sense, right? If Leo Fender created this shape, why is this part of your guitar different than this part of your guitar? To me, it makes no sense. So basically, right now, it remains to be seen how this will affect, other places in the world. But as far as I understand, companies will be fined, and the fines will be rather steep. So if they're caught using this shape. So interesting, change of policy. And I wonder if other places in the world will follow that. And if they do, I'm sure manufacturers will be happy. However, maybe guitar players might not be happy because, hey, maybe I prefer this body shape, but in a Godin guitar or an Ibanez guitar or whatever the case may be, ESP or Tokai or whatever it may be. So if that happens, that'll be a big change. Maybe the Telecaster will be next. I don't see why it wouldn't. Why is this shape more important? Maybe it's more popular. I don't know. But to me, I would say that in Germany, if they've passed that law and they've won that, that argument, then the next step would probably be, yeah, let's go and Telecasters are next, you know? Now, I wonder if they can do the same with acoustic guitars, because obviously the shape of an acoustic guitar is, there's a little less options there. You know, you can get different sizes, you can still make it look different, but there's a lot less variations that can be made to an acoustic guitar. Oh, you can be damn sure that Gibson's lawyers are on it. If this flew for Fender, absolutely Gibson is going to be all over this, at least for the UK, Germany, for sure, 100%. And I'm sure other guitar companies will also follow. Licensed guitars have been a thing for a long time, Shane. Yeah, and you know, look at Charvel. I mean, Charvel is made by Fender. Same headstock, same body. You know, just hardware changes, the electronics change, but generally it's the same design. I wonder if this means that other guitars, like the knockoff lawsuit guitars that we call them, you know, Ibanez had knockoffs of Gibsons, of Les Pauls, of Fenders, the old ones made in Japan and all that kind of stuff. I wonder if those guitars will become even more valuable now. Maybe. So Steven says that would be a great way to get a slice of the pie from the copycat market, and that would be a huge slice, actually. So if you guys are like really stuck and you really do like, I know people like that. They're like, no, my guitar is a Strat. I like that shape. I won't even look at something else. It's ugly. And you're looking at just a Strat style guitar shape. You're gonna be limited unless you got money to buy just Fender stuff. So Danielle says, at one time I heard large manufacturers in China just made the guitars as specified by the customers, including label specs or even with an overlay covering the label. I think they're still doing that. I've heard a lot of cases where people will now buy a Les Paul style guitar made in China from whatever source, and to make sure customs doesn't confiscate the guitar when it comes in, what they'll do is they'll just paint the headstock black, put in like some stupid looking logo on it so it doesn't look like a Gibson, it doesn't say Gibson, and then when you get it home you could just, it's like water-based paint, you could just wash it off and underneath it says Gibson on it. They're getting crafty. Hey, if there's money, they'll figure it out, man. They'll figure it out. Human Jones says Gibson trademarked their guitar body from the get-go. Fender didn't apply for a body trademark until the 2000s, and the court said it's way too late to do that now. Well, I understand that. Because if you apply a trademark many, many years later, then what do you do with all of the companies that have based their products, their manufacturing on that shape and have been producing guitars of that shape for whatever, 20, 30, 40 years. Now you're going to be forcing them to stop or paying some kind of a royalty or something like that. So it's kind of difficult. That's why I'm surprised of the ruling in Germany that they actually that it actually went through like that. So it's big news, man. It doesn't seem like much, but it affects a lot. I also saw that Gibson is still releasing new products. Um, we have a couple of very cool acoustic guitars that have come out. So if you guys are fans of Gibson acoustics and you're looking for options, well, there are options now. There always have been, but there's a few new ones. And so they've released a songwriter recording artist guitar in rosewood burst, which is a very nice looking guitar in my opinion. And they've also released the songwriter recording artist in antique natural with a cutaway. Uh, Both look really nice. They look a little bit like a Taylor guitar to me. At least the recording artist one in antique natural with the cutaway has a Taylor flavor to it in terms of its look. But very nice looking guitars. Don't know how many of you out there are considering a Gibson guitar for an acoustic. They tend to be pretty expensive, and I think a lot of people that end up buying an acoustic guitar have a more modest budget just because of the fact that, you know, it's not necessarily going to be your main guitar. It might just be an occasional strummer, so you don't necessarily want to break the bank on that, but it's nice to have a really good acoustic guitar. So I've been looking at those. I don't know if anybody here is in the market for an acoustic. Hey, Cool Tunes, nice to see you, dude. Welcome, welcome. Searching for Tone says, sorry, was walking the dogs, just saw your comment. That's pretty sweet. I'll have to try and scrub through today. Yeah, that's the beauty of these live Sunday shows. The recaps can be watched later on as well. Where do unsold guitars go? They go to guitar heaven. Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, eventually when companies flood the market and a lot of companies like Fender, Gibson, to be a authorized distributor of their products, you got to buy a certain amount of inventory per year. They force you to do that, a lot of them. So if you don't sell, you're kind of stuck with stuff, and then you got to liquidate. And that goes for shirts as well. You know, when you see those Fender shirts, Gibson shirts, caps, all the straps and all that kind of stuff, that's all stuff that's forced on them by the company. So, nowadays, if you're a music retailer, it's kind of hard, man, because you're not only competing against the competition in your local area, but you're also competing against online sales and direct sales. A lot of companies, you can buy the guitars directly from them. So it's not an easy thing. There's probably easier things to sell than guitars these days. Danielle says, I see Eastman has been selling several Gibson style acoustics for quite a few years now. Not sure how they compare. Never played a Gibson flat top myself. Well, I can comment on the one I have. I did buy an Eastman semi-hollow body guitar. I did a review on that. It's in my videos. It's a really nice playing guitar. It feels really good. And to be able to get that kind of guitar from Gibson, I definitely would be paying, I'm going to say, double the price. So I'm pretty happy with the quality and the sound from the Eastman, the playability from the Eastman guitar. I like it a lot. And I can't really say that there's anything with Eastman guitars that I can nitpick about. It's been flawless. There's nothing on that guitar. There's no blemishes. There's no issues with the construction of the guitar. It's really high level in terms of quality, fit, finish. You can go into that and feel very confident that you're going to be getting a very well put together guitar. Cool Tune says, picked up the NuX Plexi Crunch pedal pretty good, and you could round it off with the NuX 65 Overdrive. I haven't tried the Plexi Crunch, but I do love the 65 Overdrive. I'm sure both of them together make a really awesome combo. Dan says, I want the Eastman AR372CE, the Gibson ES125 ripoff. I like the way you put it, ripoff, not homage. You know, watch collectors, they don't call them copies, counterfeits, or ripoffs. They call them homage watches, which basically makes it sound a lot more sophisticated, you know. It's a copy, but they refer to it as an homage. You're basically paying tribute to the original. That's what we should start calling it that. So Gibson guitars would be homages to the real thing. Dan says, I have a J185 SEC, and it even makes me sound good. That's not easy. I need a few guitars like that. The Human Jones says, I tried out a new drummer in my rock band at practice Thursday night. He nailed almost every song first try. Uncanny. Oh, that's great, man. Great news. Hey, man, the drummer in a band is the bus driver. You're just along for the ride. So if he's a good drummer, you could definitely feel the difference. That's great. Hopefully he'll stick around. Shane wants to know, why do Jazzmaster copies come with P90 pickups and not Jazzmaster pickups? Good question. I think it's just easier. I think it's easier to slap in some P90 pickups. I don't have a good answer for that. I don't know. You would have to ask the manufacturers. Maybe P90s are cheaper. Maybe Jazzmasters are a little bit harder to find, or source, or good ones are harder to find. I don't know. So Danielle says, I have my share of Eastman arch tops, 2 AR50 503 CES, 1 AR371 CE, 1 AR805 CE, and 1 AR371 CE. Would not say any of them sound like a Gibson. So would you say they sound better? Worse? Obviously, every guitar is different. It's not going to sound identical. But since you've purchased quite a few, I guess those are still guitars that you own, because you say you have, not had. So obviously, I think you're from my perspective, you seem to be happy with them because you keep on buying them. Paul says, Fender sued a tiny Chinese company knowing they would not show up in court. It's very hard to sue Chinese companies. Most of the time, they just ignore. They ignore everything. So good luck. Royal City Records says, I own an Eastman SB65DC Junior. Best guitar I own. They have really gone up in price. Yeah, I know, man. Everything has gone up in price. But yeah, they get a really good reputation. I guess it really boils down to whether or not you have an issue with a guitar made in Asia or not. Yeah. They have a lot of nice ones. Presley says P90s are way easier to make. So there you go. That's probably part of your answer. D-Max says, hey, hi Tony, how does the neck of your red Charvel compare to the similar Fender Strat modern C-type neck? It's a little different. I'm going to say that the Charvel seems to be a little bit flatter than the C-shape on the Fender Strats, at least mine. It seems to have like a flatter back to it, so that the flatness of the back of the neck is a little bit wider across the back. You know, it's not a wizard neck by any means, just a little flatter. It's quite comfortable. Steven says, I got an LPD Lawrence Petros Designs 74, wanted off eBay, showed and found out it's a limited yellow case, number 6 of 23. Sounds awesome. Doesn't it feel great when you get lucky like that, Steven? I got lucky like that a couple of times. And that means, you know, the gods are shining, they're smiling at you, you know? They're giving you back. You're probably putting out some good energy out there in the universe, and it's coming back to you, man. Love to see a picture of that. One thing that happened this week as well, you guys, I know that I've been talking about the Supro Blackmagic Reverb that I recently got. And for those of you with keen eyes, I think somebody spotted it once. It's right there. You can see it, just that one there. That amp blew me away. Honestly, the amplifier itself, when I bought it used. I told the story here already a couple of times, so sorry if you got to hear it again. But for those of you who don't know, I bought that guitar used locally. I've been a big fan of Supro amps for a long time, and I had a dual tone, which I sold. I should have kept it, but things happen for a reason. I sold that guitar, but it gave me the flavor, the taste for Supro amps. So I ended up buying this one. This is now a couple of weeks that I've had this amplifier. When I bought it, there was an issue with the tubes, so I removed some of the tubes, and I basically replaced them, and they worked really well. I think maybe a couple of days later, I blew some tubes again in that amplifier. I blew the first and second preamp tube, which is kind of weird that they would both die at the same time. So I was a little concerned. I said, maybe I ended up with a dud here. Maybe there's a reason that I got, the guy was selling the amplifier. Changed those tubes, but in the meantime, I contacted Supro. I contacted them and I told them, look, I got this situation. What do I do? And basically they responded like, tubes go bad. It's not necessarily a problem with the amplifier. If things should go sideways and you have issues, let us know, and we can actually send you a replacement chassis, which was extremely nice of them to be able to offer that, because I didn't ask for it or anything. Lo and behold, a couple of days later, I get an email message saying, hey, we're shipping you out a replacement chassis. And I'm like, okay, so I'll send you back the one that I have, and that'd be great. I'll just swap the chassis, put it in the new one, in my case, in my cabinet here, and that'd be perfect, no problem. Unfortunately, they shipped me the wrong one. So the one I have here is a reverb model. the Blackmagic reverb is not the same as a regular Blackmagic. So they sent me by accident the Blackmagic chassis, which doesn't have reverb. The tone stack is different because the reverb has a master volume, and it's got volume, bass, middle, treb, all that kind of stuff with the trem. The regular one without the reverb doesn't have that. It's just 2 volumes and a tone and the tremolo circuit. There's no master volume on it. So it's a different design, different type of amp. So I had it here and I said, well, let me try it out. So there's the chassis over there. And I was playing it inside through my Egnator 1x12 cabinet loaded with a Celestion V-type speaker. I got to tell you, man, they both sound wicked. Not the same. Wicked. I had a blast playing through that guy, even though it doesn't have a reverb. And I still love this guy. So like, what do I do? So anyways, I call back David and I say, listen, David, it's like the amp right now, I changed the speaker, the tubes in it, and it seems to be working. And he's like, man, don't worry, just keep it. He's like, don't worry about it. So I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I can ship it back or whatever. He's like, no, man, just keep it. It's all good. So, man, I'm blown away. I don't know what to say other than I got to do a review. I'm going to have to do a review on these amps because they're fantastic. Now, as long as I don't have any issues with this guy anymore with the tubes, I got to say I'm a double happy camper over here. So I'll be definitely doing that. I'll be doing a comparative video. I'll do the reverb model over here against the non-reverb model over there, and just make you hear the differences. But I can honestly say, man, these amps are fantastic. If you love that classic rock tone, they have a nice clean, but the overdrive cranked sound coming out of these things is amazing. And I can play these all day long. If you're playing my kind of music, which is mostly classic rock, they do a fantabulous job. So now the question is, what do I do with the chassis? I think what I'm going to end up doing is I'm just going to make a head box for it. I'm probably not going to be able to find a head box for that chassis because it's the ones that they sell are really fancy. The ones that are made specifically for Supros, pretty fancy. You don't usually see them empty versions of those being sold anywhere. So I'm just going to build my own. I'll buy some Baltic birch, marine grade Baltic birch. I'll make one. Shouldn't be that hard. I've done it before, and I'll make something that fits and is nice. So I can actually take that one when I'm jamming instead of having to carry the combo, which is really heavy. I can just take that and bring it with me and enjoy the great tones out of that amp, man. It's like just fantastic. So if you guys don't know Supro, haven't tried Supro, try the amps, man. If you're a Jimmy Page tone freak, Jimmy Page all day long. Eddie wants to know if I have any experience with Sterling by Music Man. Considering a Sterling Luke. I haven't tried the Sterling Luke. I have had Sterling guitars before. I have had a Music Man, the one that is basically like the Eddie Van Halen shape. Those are great. They don't feel as good as the real Music Mans. They're not as good. You can tell the difference. I had a real Music Man, and it's the equivalent of, say, what a Fender feels like compared to a Squier. in terms of the feel, in terms of the build quality. You can tell it's inferior, but if you haven't ever tried the original, like the real Music Man, you won't really notice the difference. You know, kind of like Gibson and Epiphone, that type of thing. But it's still a fun instrument, definitely. Paul says prices are going up again. The price of transportation is expected to double. Yeah, again, thanks to Trump. Trump has been like banging them out, you know, tariffs and now the price of oil and gas. And yeah, pretty soon we're going to be in deep, deep trouble. So yeah, I'm expecting prices to go up again. That's going to happen. What can I say, man? It seems like every day there's something else. There's something new. Paul says, I've been looking at the JMP 79 also and the 87. LOL. I got to pick just one though for now. Tough call. A lot of great choices out there, guys. Dan says, I have the 1695 TJ, which is the non-reverb chassis with the Jensen, the P12Q speaker in a combo. Rocks hard. Yeah, a lot of people like that one as well. Some people swap out the Jensen speaker, but I don't see why you would have to do that. I was so surprised actually by how well the Celestion V-type speaker did with that chassis. I was comparing the two because what's in this guy is a proprietary, gotta wait for my brain to catch up with my lips, a proprietary speaker made for Supro. Rumor is that it's made by Celestion, but I don't know which one it is. Which it sounds good, but I did feel like at least with that chassis, the V-type speaker sounded just a little sweeter. I got some schmutz here on this guitar. What is that? I don't know what that is. All right. Zarly67 says, good morning, Tony. If you had to pick one for classic rock tone, Supro Black Magic or stick with the Marshall SV20H? Man, that's a hard question. I love both. And they both sound fantastic. So picking just one, holy mackerel. Well, look, if I had to, let's just say with the reverb, if you're looking at this guy with the reverb and the tremolo, it does have a slight edge over the Marshall SV20H because Marshall doesn't have tremolo, doesn't have reverb, right? But it does have the effects loop, which this doesn't have. So, you know, the effects loop is all very nice to have because obviously you can put in any pedal you want with it, including a tremolo or a reverb. There's more clean headroom on the SV20H before it breaks up. They're both loud. This is 25 watts. So that's 20. Similar wattage. I mean, they're so close. You can definitely get Marshall territory with this amplifier if you want. The cleans on the Supro sound a little fuller, although you can get some really beautiful cleans out of the Studio Vintage as well. Yeah, it's a hard one, man. It's very, if you like natural spring reverb and a really good tremolo, you have both of those in the Supro. It's hard. Which one would I pick? Oh, I mean, right now I'm loving the Supro. Um, does that mean I'd be ready to sell the Marshall? Not right away. I wouldn't necessarily sell the Marshall right now. Um, I tell you what, though, I'm pretty much ready to sell my. Like, if I had to get rid of an amp right now, I think the Supro kicks ass to the point where, my Princeton, although it has a very clean sound, it's hand wired and everything. Princeton and the Supersonic, I'd be getting rid of the Supersonic before I get rid of the Supro. And a lot of you might say, "What are you talking about, Tony? Two-channel amplifier on the Supersonic with effects loop, with foot switch, with fat boost, with yeah, all that good stuff. Definitely versatile." But I do feel that the Supro blows it out of the water in terms of just warmth and goodness. It has a chewy goodness that the Supersonic doesn't have. So for classic rock tones, Supersonic definitely over that guy. Sorry, mixing them up. What I meant to say is, for classic rock tone, the Supro over the Supersonic. Dan Steely says the B12, it's a Celestion. I know it is. The speaker in the Supro is a Celestion. I just don't know what it's modeled after, the B12. If it's not that different from the V-type speaker. I just feel that the V-type speaker sounds just a little bit less boxy than the B12. Jim Simmons. Tony, do you think the new Blackstar IDX floor unit would sound better than the new Boss GX1? I mean, that's a hard question, Jim. I mean, better is subjective. Depends on what kind of tones you're after. For me, when I'm thinking modeling units, these type of units, to me, it's the clean tones that make or break the unit. Oftentimes, they have an easier time, I would say, with the distorted sounds, because basically distorted sounds are, they're distorted, so they hide a lot of things. But the clean is where you can really hear the nuances. So I think if whichever one does the clean sounds better, that would be my choice. Boss has been pretty good with the cleans. In my experience, when I've had older Boss units, the clean sounds weren't terrible. But why are you comparing just those two models? There's other units that you can get that will give you extremely nice clean sounds. Dan says, I have that speaker in the Supro Royale combo. Are you talking the B12? Yeah, I think they're using the same one. Dan also says, I recall talking with one high-end dealer, even though the ES-175 guitar are laminate arch tops made with the same laminate press, he said that he has never heard that two sounded the same. Well, there's always going to be a variation. I was talking about that last Sunday. For those of you that were attending the show last Sunday, Epiphone mentioned recently that they have released new versions of the Epiphone acoustic guitars in the Inspired By series. Now there's a There's a lower end and a higher end. And the difference between the two is that the lower end uses laminated tops and the higher end uses solid tops. So I'm wondering, now I've got my curiosity going, because I do have an inspired by Gibson beautiful acoustic guitar, the Hummingbird, that I purchased, and I like it. I like it a lot. I'm wondering, I gotta go and take that guitar to a music store and compare it to the newer ones just to see the difference in the sound, see which one sounds better. I'm curious to hear in the room how much of a difference there would be between one and the other. If there's a big difference, maybe I sell the one I have and put the money towards the newer one. Newer ones will definitely be more expensive. Zarly says, thanks, Tony. Sounds like I need both. Sorry, man. I know you're looking for a clean answer. You know what I mean? But I love playing both. They're both really good amplifiers. I'm gonna say right now, like run-of-the-mill amplifiers that are not considered boutique that you can buy from regular stores. Those are probably my two favorites right now. And I was playing the Studio Classic the other day too, which is behind me over there. This guy. And it sounded pretty good too, you know? So it's like, man, where do you draw the line? They all have their own unique flavors and they all have their own advantages. And, you know, should I sell? Should I buy? Should I keep? Stay put. I think the next time we rehearse, last time I brought the Studio Vintage and it sounded fantastic. It's able to handle cleans. It's able to handle the headroom, clean headroom, and the drive wonderfully. I think next time I'm going to bring the Studio Classic and I'm going to give it a whirl and see how it holds up. Dan says Supros have tube-driven loops. Yeah, most of the circuit in a Supro are tube-driven. Tony, I like the Marshall Plexi overdrive tones with a Strat neck pickup and also metal tones. Yeah, I mean, it does a really good, clean, Hendrixy thing with a Strat pickup. If you're pushing it with humbuckers, it gets you that nice, fat, full tone. And, kick it with your choice of overdrive pedal, and you can basically make it do anything, really. Human Jones says, actually, I've been really curious about one pickup guitars lately. I've been researching Esquires and Les Paul Juniors. Yeah, those are cool. I don't own an Esquire and I don't have a Les Paul Junior, but I do have one pickup guitars. I was playing that in my review yesterday of the Looper. I had my Kramer Beretta with one humbucker in it. I have a couple of guitars like that. Not exactly the same flavor as a Junior or an Esquire, but still fun. Definitely fun to play. We did have a question today, a poll question. So should we look at that briefly? Might as well. Let me open that up and see if I can find our poll question. And basically our poll question today was an elimination round, similar to what we did last Sunday. I was asking specifically about pedals. And I'm going to be asking a couple of times to see what you guys think on this, just because it's interesting to see which pedals you guys tend to favor and which ones you don't. So this week's question was, if you could only keep one of these pedals, which would it be? And I put 3. The three pedals would be the Boss SD1, the Noble's ODR1, and the Wampler Pinnacle. So the one that you guys are most likely to keep out of the people that voted on this question is, well, let's do the other way around. Which ones would you not keep? And this is quite interesting to me. 18% of you said that you would probably not want to keep the Wampler Pinnacle. The Wampler got the least amount of votes, which is surprising to me because to me it's perhaps the best sounding Wampler pedal out there if you want to do the Eddie Van Halen sound. The Pinnacle's killer. And that quickly became my favorite go-to pedal that was on my board for the longest time. So only 18% of you would keep that as an overdrive, which is surprising. 39% of you voted the Noble's ODR1, and 43% of you voted the Boss SD1. Again, surprising. Now, I know the SD1 has become like the staple. It's, everybody eventually owns an SD1. They've become, very popular, not expensive, well built, last a long time. But I'm surprised because to me, out of those three, the SD1 is, in my opinion, the worst sounding of the bunch. And the Nobles and the Pinnacle, to me, sound way better. So I'm surprised. I'm surprised that you guys would advise me to keep the SD1 as opposed to the other ones. So I wouldn't agree. And I don't know why. I'm curious about the answers. There's two comments here. So let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. I'm going blind here. Let me see here. So the only two comments that I had on this was, Martin says, I never tried the ODR1. The SD1 has a well-known and appreciated overdrive sound, but the Pinnacle is more of a pushed Marshall reproduction, and that's the one I would keep, especially with a solid state amp, because it has a more organic sound and a response closer to a tube amp. So I agree with Martin here. So Martin, 100% agree with you. I think if you try the ODR1, you will like it over the SD1. The ODR1 has more of a natural sounding overdrive, and it's not a pushed, let's say, Marshall reproduction. So if you're looking for a neutral sounding overdrive, the ODR1 to me would be a good choice. The SD1 is definitely, to me, lower quality in terms of the overall sound. And Martin Murray says, gotta go with the green pedal, with a green pedal. So those are the only two comments. But everyone else, I don't agree with your votes. To me, it would be the SD1 would be the only one out of the bunch that I'd probably get rid of. Human Jones says, my Sweetwater rep said you're not a guitar player unless you've bought and sold the SD1 3 times. Yeah, that's a good one. I like that. I haven't bought and sold the SD1 3 times, but I have bought and sold the Blues Driver from Boss twice. So one more, and does that make me like half a guitar player? I don't know. But I kind of get what he's saying. The SD1 is like one of those pedals that you would probably buy a couple of times. Yeah. The SD1, that's a good way of putting it, Shane. It's like, meh, not that great, Would the Boss be easier to sell if you needed the money? I don't think so. I think both the Nobles and the Wampler are sought after pedals. So the only reason the SD1 might be easier to sell would be because it's less expensive. So, people would be willing to pay that $100 or whatever it is, $80, whatever it may be. Shane says, not me, Tony. I didn't vote for the SD1. Hey, I'm not judging, man. I'm not judging. If you like the SD1, that's fine. I like it for certain things. That's why I bought it. You know what I mean? Like I basically bought it to push the JCM 800 there, the Studio Classic, just to push it a little bit. But there's other pedals that I find do an excellent job, maybe, and sound a little bit more organic. Zarly says, Tony, I agree with the ODR1 is a better choice over the SD1. OFR1 is choice of session players in Nashville. I think you meant ODR. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people do like the ODR ones, especially the original ones, which are almost impossible to find these days. But if you can find one, those are highly collectible and very expensive. Human Jones says, oh no, I'm thinking of getting a blues driver for an always on clean dirty tone. Don't do it. I don't know, man. I don't bond with the blues driver at all. At all. I think you're better off getting the ODR one. If it's an always on pedal. Eddie says, I would take an MXR distortion over the Boss SD. I remember you had a couple of MXR distortion pedals. They were a little rough too. The distortion wasn't like smooth sounding. It was a little bit of a harsh sound. At least the ones I had back in the day. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, there's better choices. Definitely better choices. Jim says, Tony, there's sometimes a boost pedal sounds better than an overdrive to push an amp. Yeah, and you can also just push. I always have a boost pedal on my board. I have the EP booster, which I keep on my board a lot because it basically fills out the sound. You can push it, but you can also just push it with an EQ pedal. If you get an EQ pedal, even if it's a Boss EQ pedal, just nudge the gain up a little bit. That'll do it. Wayne says, you're not alone there, Tony. I'm still itching to try that pedal. Is it the Archer pedal? Steve Stevens came out with this design in conjunction with the pedal builder, where they came out with it's an overdrive pedal with an integrated EQ. And I love the idea of that. And I'm sure it sounds great, but they're so darn expensive. Is it the Archer? I forget what it's called. Let me do a quick search here. There might be more than one company doing that right now. I would think more people should do that. Overdrive with EQ integrated, or a combo type thing. I know Joyo does that with a bass pedal that they have. They haven't come out with that for a guitar. And I'm like, why wouldn't they do that? Yeah. So Rocket Audio, I think, is the one that makes them. They call it the Rockaway. It's a really cool pedal. So basically, it's got volume and gain as a knob, and the rest of the tone shaping ability is they're sliders, like an EQ. It's J-Rocket Audio that makes it. And I would buy one right now if they weren't so expensive. They're $159 US at Sweetwater. But that's the Steve Stevens model. Actually, I think they went down in price. I might have to grab one. I don't really see them in Canada all that often. I'm going to see if I can find one. If I could find one used, that would be even better. But yeah, this the Steve Stevens model, and really cool. Here, I'll share the screen with you guys. There you go. So that's it. That's what it looks like. So it says it delivers legendary transparent overdrive when you want it to, and then obviously you can get the gain. I love Steve Stevens' tone. So to me, that says a lot. 150. I think I'm gonna end up buying one of these because I've been after one of these for a while. 150 US. That's gonna be like at least $200 Canadian. Yeah, the G7 from Boss is a good boost pedal. It's a little noisy, but it works. Mean Gene says, trying to finish a winter Telecaster project. Pine. Dang thing dents just by looking at it. I know, man. I'm laughing. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you because I have one. I have the Pine, the purple Telecaster that I built. If you guys have seen it before, it's made of pine. Not only is it made of pine, it's made of 100-year-old pine. Do I have it here? No. Yeah. I think I do. Let me go grab it. One sec. Let me just turn this down. Give me a sec. This guy. Yeah, so this is a guitar I built, painted, finished, the whole 9 yards when there was a big, purple Telecaster trend. And this body is pine. And many of you might not know that the early Telecasters were all made of pine. The original Leo Fender Telecasters, pine was used very often because number one, easy to shape, especially if you're shaping stuff and doing things by hand. Not very expensive and light. So a lot of people a lot of the guitar manufacturers back in the day used pine even for their cabinets. The guitar cabs, the early Fender guitar cabinets were also made of pine. And they had a really nice resonance to them because they would resonate with the sound of the actual electronics, and worked really well. You can really tell the difference when you're using pine. So let me see here. So this is a 5-way switch. Sorry, a 4-way. So the guitar plays really well. I can feel that there's a little bit of a fret sprout on this guitar I'm going to have to take care of. Often happens on guitars in the wintertime when things get a little bit dry. But yeah, I don't necessarily hate pine. I think it's fantastic. Yeah, it does definitely ding. Um, if you want your guitar to be perfect, then don't get pine. If you don't mind playing it and it's gonna get some chips, this one already has some chips. I don't know. You can see one over here. Um, it's gonna happen. It's gonna turn into a relic, naturally. But I have no problem with that. Guitars are made to be played, man. So this is 100-year-old reclaimed pine. This body is. So it's definitely dried out by now. Zarly wants to know, Tony, what brand pedal board do you use? I have an Acclaim pedal board, and I got a few. I got a Pedal Train, I got a Holy board, I got this, which is, I forget the brand, which is Chinese brand pedal with an integrated power supply here and legs that flip out with, which is actually pretty good. I don't mind it. It's great for a smaller board. So a couple of different ones. The Acclaim one that I have is the one I use most of the time because it's the biggest, and it's got a some adjustable feet on it, and you can has the sliders so that you don't have to use Velcro. You can there's grips that snug into your pedals. You can screw them down and they won't move. And so you don't have to worry about using Velcro on the bottom of your pedals and stuff. I'm not a big fan of Velcro. Paul says, Tony, I'm buying something for my studio next week. What are you buying, Paul? What you shopping for? Human Jones wants to know what the four-way switch is for. It basically will do this. I have a middle switch here. So there's bridge. There's gonna be both, neck, and there's a split. I don't know what it does. I forget now. Oh, and I think, if I remember correctly, there's also the push-pull. Again, I did a full review on this guy, this switch and tone switch here. And I like the fact that it has an angled switch on the Telecaster, because it's easier to get to when you're doing the switching. So let me just. So can you hear the difference? I think it gives you the little out of phase. Sorry about that. Get carried away. Series parallel. Yeah. So guys, one thing I wanted to also mention before I forget, while I was watching Neil Sean at the Journey concert, I zoomed in at his feet, and sure enough, I don't know if I have the pictures here that I can show you. Let me see. Sure enough, what he was using was a pair, not one, two um, fractals. He wasn't even using amps. So everything, he was basically playing through a modeling setup. Sounded great, regardless. Just wondering if I have the pictures here. I'm just trying to find them for you guys. Zoomed in. I had to zoom in quite a bit here, but you can maybe with this picture here. Let me see if I can share that with you guys. There you go. So you can see at his feet, there's one fractal here, one fractal, two fractals. Then he had a series of other volume pedals and whatnot with the set list. So yeah, I recognize it. And that's what it is. So I'm not surprised. I knew that's what he was generally using these days. But it sounded fantastic. So. All right, guys, I think that's going to be it for today. We've been talking almost 2 hours, so it's a little longer than I usually do, but we get carried away sometimes. I do appreciate you guys stopping by, and if you guys haven't already given me a thumbs up, maybe on the way out, you can. If you have comments that I haven't answered, maybe something that you posted and I didn't see, I apologize, but you can always just copy and paste that in the chat, and I'll try and respond to your question after the show. If there's any last minute questions, now's the time before we wrap it up. Rob says, I have Telecaster mods I need to do. Pick up the Rocket Rabbit Fat Boy angled switch plate and a cutaway ashtray bridge from Philadelphia Luthiers. Oh, and picked up some staggered height tuners. Yeah, that's pretty much. I don't have the angled. I have the angled switch plate here. I have the brass saddles that are compensated in here. I don't have the cutaway bridge plate on this guitar. I have it on another guitar. I like it. It's good, but I don't feel like that it makes that much of a difference, to be honest. But the compensated saddles definitely do, and I do like the angled switch. All right, guys, have a fantastic rest of your day. Enjoy playing your instruments, your guitars, and your pedals. Think about me while you're doing that. If you have any questions that do come up during the week or anything you want to discuss for the next show, jot it down so you don't forget. So when you come back next week, we can talk about it. I'll have some interesting other information lined up for you. And please go to my channel on a regular basis and check out some of the latest gear reviews. There'll be more coming. If you haven't checked out the review on the Looper, take a look at that. It might entice you. And that's it. Stay healthy. And remember, guys, practice makes perfect, all right? Talk to you soon. Have a great rest of your day.